You have to sort of develop yourself every now and then, because if you don't, you sort of be totally obsolete. I give you an example, right? Like in sports, people practice every single day. I think there's this, some of us probably know this, like Michael Phelps. He sort of trains every single day. Birthdays, Christmas, celebrations, whatever celebration there is, he's training every single day just for preparing himself for that competition. And if athletes do that, why don't hoteliers do that? Hello and welcome to the Vision Impossible podcast, where we talk about everything relating to hospitality. And this week, we'll talk a little bit about one hotel that totally changed my life.
So Adrian, tell us about the hotel that changed your life.
I think a lot of people who worked along me long time ago and currently will know which hotel is that. And that hotel specifically is Traders Hotel Kuala Lumpur. That hotel really changed my life. From the start right up to leaving the hotel, it totally changed my life. And I remember when I wanted to leave, right, I was so sad because it's like leaving a part of you behind. That was really, really hard for me. But let me tell you a story of how this whole thing started. I laugh because it all started when I did my first interview with my boss back then. And her name was Kat Fui. So just to refresh a bit of memory, I was working in Penang and I applied working in Traders Kuala Lumpur. So obviously back then I felt that I worked 3 to 4 years. I had the experience. I know what to do. I was on top of my game. And I was really looking forward to venture into somewhere new, right? Looking forward to a new challenge. And when the opportunity came, I applied and I had a chance to go for an interview. And I remember it was during a SARS period. They offered to fly me in. I said, no, thank you. I'll drive because I want to avoid airports. And I think it was H1N1. It's 2008 or 9. And I remember going for the interview. My boss asked me, Adrian, how do you calculate RevPAR? And I totally froze, because I didn't know how to calculate RevPAR. I was like, huh? I mean, to her, that was like the basic thing. But for me, and I didn't expect that question. I tell you, out to today, when we talk, we always talk about RevPAR. And she was the one who taught me how to calculate RevPAR. RevPAR stands for revenue per available room. And I didn't know how to calculate it, but today I know how to do it, of course. So that was my interview. And I felt that the interview, I failed miserably during the interview. I was interviewed by two persons, one which is, her name is Kat Fui and Kathy. So at the end of the interview, I told myself, that's it, I won't get the job. But interestingly, after that, I got a call to say that I was successful. I was so excited, because back then, and I think now still, Traders KL is like one of the most popular hotel. Location-wise, it's very central in the heart of Kuala Lumpur. It's got the best view of the Petronas Twin Towers, and it's got a very, very popular bar called the Sky Bar. So I really wanted to be part of a very, very new hotel back then. So excited when I got the news that I got the job. So transferred, and the hotel was so nice. They gave me a place to stay because they knew I was trying to look for accommodation. I couldn't find a spot. They gave me a place to stay for about 6 months while I settled down so I could find a place and then gradually move from there. So that's how I started.
So who inspired you the most during your hotel career?
I think for this hotel per se, it was about two persons who really inspired me. One, which is Kathy, and the other person is Kat Fui. It was, I think both of them kind of opened my eyes because I kind of like grew up in a sales environment where everything was very, very, people had to be loud. There was a lot of scolding. It's a lot of tearing of papers, Back then when you make a mistake, you tear a whole document and throw it on the floor. It's a lot of shouting. It was a different way of doing it, right? It's not wrong, it's just a different way. Whereas when I went to KL, Kathy and Kat Fui sort of had a very different approach. So both of them sort of like, in a way, they were very motherly, and they sort of reason out with you what was right, what was wrong, and they're very polite. They became more like a mentor, more like a coach. And something interesting that they did, which I sort of replicated what they did, and I do it today with my team, which is this thing called I think it was a weekly or monthly sort of program. Let's say for this month, you learn about the 7 habits of Stephen R. Covey's of successful, effective people, or something along that lines. What she'll do is that she said, okay, you're going to read about this chapter, okay, and then 2 persons will be in charge about explaining about it. And when I joined, coincidentally, there was 2 persons presenting this topic, which is habit number 3. And they were talking about more like time management sort of thing, time prioritization, right? And you obviously have the 4 quadrants, right? What's urgent, important. And up to today, I still use that. And so there was this 2 persons presenting it. One is Saiful, the second one is Peter, if I'm not mistaken. And I was so intrigued, right? It's like, wow, there's a lot of self-development. You literally teach us something like that. Because where I came from, it didn't exist, right? It was all about sales, strategy, fighting for leads, right? And when I went to KL, it was about developing yourself. And the leader sort of acted like a coach instead of like your supervisor, right, in work. So it's very different, and I find that very interesting. And up to today, right, I still do this with my team because I still find that that's the best way for one person to learn. And you have to sort of develop yourself every now and then, because if you don't, you sort of be totally obsolete. I give you an example, right? Like in sports, people practice every single day. I think there's this, some of us probably know this, like Michael Phelps. He sort of trains every single day. Birthdays, Christmas, celebrations, whatever celebration there is, he's training every single day just for preparing himself for that competition. And if athletes do that, why don't hoteliers do that, right? And I know of some hotels who totally don't send their team for training and say, no need to send them for training. Then how would they work, right? So, but anyway, coming back to this, I was so impressed by how they did it. So I kind of followed that today. And I think that's why I still feel that they sort of gave me a different perspective of how things could have been done, where they acted more like a coach and a mentor. Yeah, that's what I think.
How was the team dynamics during that time?
I know I say this most of the time. The team dynamics was something that I've never imagined it could be. I remember when I joined the hotel, it was like a puzzle fitting into a big picture. I felt so welcome. I felt like the team was so warm. And it's like everyone somehow clicked. And I've never, ever in my life experienced something like that. It's so interesting because that was one of the hotels that I kind of really look forward going to work, right? It's like everyone cared for each other, right? No one was out to sort of say something bad about you, or they look after each other's back. Like, I'll give you an example. When someone fell sick, someone would probably say, hey, this person is sick, and this person will cook soup, right? And send it over to the other colleague because they know that the colleague is not well. I mean, this is totally unheard of. I mean, maybe there are. I didn't experience it. I only experienced it in 3 scale. And I was like, oh. And if you go for trips, right? We used to go for business trips in Singapore, Hong Kong. And they used to have something called a care package. A care package had like plasters, Panadols, in case you are not well, A survival kit. So in case when you travel and you need something, everything's inside there with a handwritten note, It's like, wow. The team was just amazing. We really worked together. We spent so much time afterwards. We partied together a lot. Weekends, we went out for movies, and we did a lot of activities together. We really had so much fun. And by the way, it was not all locals. It was a mixture of locals and foreigners. I remember we had a Japanese colleague by the name of Yayoi, who was also my buddy back then. And we had another lady from Myanmar. Her name is Tintin So. And we talk about Tintin So, I always can't forget this, right? Where she was, there was this joke that we always used to tease her. We used to ask her this question. I think someone asked her this question. Tintin, can you tell us what's the address of where you're staying? What's the name of the road? She was like, I'm staying at Jalan Sehala. And everyone's like, what? Yeah, Jalan Sehala. Because I think she read Jalan Sehala, which means one-way street, being the road signage, right? But actually, it's not. It's just, what it meant is one-way street. So we all laughed, And until today, I think if you tell this joke to some of them, they'll still remember it. So the team dynamic is just amazing. So learning from this, why I feel that this hotel changed my life a lot, it's purely because of the leaders that were there back then, which was Katfui and Kathy. One, they both gave me a chance, even though I did terribly during the interview. And that really changed my life. It sort of taught me that, oh, you may fail during an interview, but maybe they saw something in me, I don't know, but they gave me a shot. Two, sometimes as leaders, we don't necessarily have to be mean. We also can be polite. We can act as a coach. We can act as a mentor. As an alternative to the typical corporate way of how the hotel leaders are. And three, sometimes selecting the very best people to work with you is so crucial. After we most of us left and we catch up once in a while, and I kind of asked Katfui over a conversation. I said, Katfui, how did you actually build this, And something interesting that she shared with me was that, Adrian, how we did it was very intentional. We didn't just hire people, we selected people who we feel will be suitable to the entire group. And we really, really took our time to pick the best. And that's something important to learn, that sometimes you cannot just hire people for the sake of hiring. We just got to select the best people to be part of the team. And the dream team exists. It can happen if you choose the very best, right? So maybe some of you would say, no, it's not possible, we tried so many times, it failed, but I have personally experienced something like that. Can you imagine? You look forward coming to work. When you wake up in the morning, you don't drag yourself to work. You look forward to meeting your colleague, having a good time, laughing together, going out together. It was really so much fun. So that was something that I learned, and both leaders gave me a chance to learn a lot of things. And one of them was to learn how to interview people. Back then, I was only a sales manager. There's no reason for me to interview another person. But both my bosses gave me a chance, right, to sort of interview a candidate. And interestingly, they were the ones who came up with the idea that, okay, instead of the bosses do the interview, the team does the interview. So we had 3 to 4 of us interview another person to see whether we would sort of like this person to join us, whether he or she will fit in, or whether, we kind of would click. Right? Sometimes there are also alternative ways of doing something. It doesn't mean that if you do it this way, it has to be this way. There's another way. And I think that sort of planted the seeds in me to sort of think differently, or sort of to challenge the system. Because when I used to work with her, she would always ask me, why? Why must it be done this way? Why? Why was a favorite question. Why everything? So that's one of the hotels that really changed my life. And I'm truly grateful that both Kathy and Katfui had given me the opportunity to work there and to experience sort of being part of such a wonderful team. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.